And happy Wednesday to the world out there. And gentlemen, happy almost Thanksgiving.
It is Thanksgiving.
For Ross it is, because he lives in the future. But for Zeb and I, we got another 2 hours, 50 some odd minutes before we get to the actual Thanksgiving.
I'm just happy to know that there's still Thanksgiving in the future.
There is. I don't want to spoil too much, but I'll let you know one thing about Thanksgiving in the future. There's turkey.
Thank God.
Real quick, are you guys a fan of turkey on Thanksgiving?
Okay.
Yes?
Good.
Yes. I am. I was reading these days. It's kind of a thing to sort of be anti-turkey, right? Somebody earlier, maybe an hour ago, sent me an article this guy was talking about how turkey's overrated and bad, and pumpkin is the worst pie, and all the side dishes are kind of blah. And I'm like, that dude's on drugs. There's nothing better than a roasted turkey in your mouth when it's still in the mouth simultaneously as mashed potatoes and gravy. That's the best flavor ever, except for maybe tonkatsu. But yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, tonkatsu is a fried pork cutlet.
Deep fried pork cutlet, yeah. Pork cutlet with Japanese style curry is a lethal combination, double the calories, but so good.
Worth it.
But yeah, seriously. But how are you an anti-Thanksgiving food person, Sam?
I love Thanksgiving. Pour gravy on anything and I'll eat it.
I think there should be more gravy foods. Why can't we put gravy? I think gravy on macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm offended by the war on pumpkin. It's getting to a point where I don't know if I can take it anymore. It's bad to like pumpkin. What is wrong with you? Pumpkin's an amazing resource. It's a blessing that it's available to us.
Yes, exactly. And pumpkin is it's not the worst pie. Contrary to that article I read today, pumpkin pie is the second best pie. The best pie, obviously, is Marionberry pie in September or October.
Okay. I think apple's still the best.
I'm a pumpkin
so generic. I love them. I mean, the thing is, I love Marionberry pie, but I can't eat it year round. Pumpkin pie is my second best, but I can eat it year round, and I consider it a breakfast food.
Can you get pumpkin pie year round?
There's a restaurant called. I'm trying to give a shout out here in Tokyo. I forget where. It's in Shinagawa. It's next to the station. There's a place that has pumpkin pie year round, and then you can make your own. Obviously.
Is it a Cracker Barrel?
No, we don't have Cracker Barrel over here. Thank God. Although that'd probably be the best thing for a Cracker Barrel, because when restaurants come over to Tokyo, they have to improve their quality because Japanese people don't care about quantity; they care about quality. So Sizzler here is awesome. I would never go to a Sizzler in America ever. No offense, no, that's the counter shout out. But in Tokyo, I'll hit Sizzler any day because the salad bar is all full of super fresh vegetables. So awesome. Kind of pricey here though.
Well, the problem right now is no one can eat romaine lettuce in the United States, so that removes a lot of that option.
It's poison.
Sort your life out or something. How come you can't eat romaine lettuce?
E. coli.
Get some food quality over there, man. What's going on?
No, come on.
Then it would cost more than $1 for a pound. Oh no. Yeah. Food here is crazy expensive, but it's all the best quality. Sometimes I feel like they should split the difference, but anyway. What's the best Thanksgiving food? What's the best part of the meal?
I'm a sweet potato guy myself.
Nice. That's a good answer. If it's done really well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. All right.
Anything with gravy is the best. Hands down.
Yeah. Although I gotta say, I don't like it when my gravy starts to run into the cranberry sauce. That combo doesn't work.
Like I said, the more gravy, the better seasoned it is. It can be on anything, and I'll eat it.
Okay, last Thanksgiving question. When you're making your turkey sandwich later, can you put cranberry sauce on that?
Absolutely.
Of course.
No.
Cranberry sauce and cream cheese.
Ooh.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't do cream cheese on sandwiches?
I don't do cream cheese on... Well, I do cream cheese on bagels. I'm honorary Jewish.
Well, you're missing out.
Never thought of it on trying a Thanksgiving turkey sandwich. I'm gonna have to give that a try.
Yeah, if you want a really nice sandwich, get a nice thick cut piece of bread to keep everything together. Need that foundation. Do cream cheese, cranberry sauce, turkey, and if you want to go crazy, add a little stuffing and some greens, and that is one of the best Thanksgiving leftover sandwiches you can have.
I like it.
No, you're doing it wrong.
You don't live in America. Your opinion is void. We're going to those far stretches.
When it comes to Thanksgiving and Christmas foods, I'm very traditional.
Yeah.
I'm very traditional.
Well, we are the Seahawks Fan Table Podcast. My name is Sam. With me, as always, is Zeb and Ross. Gentlemen, regardless of our food affections, I am thankful for you guys being here, and happy almost Thanksgiving.
Likewise.
I'm thankful for getting to 500.
Yeah, Seattle returns to the land of 500 as they defeat the Green Bay Packers for the fourth time at home under Pete and Russ. The Packer tears are especially delicious because all the stories after the game were about how the Packers lost, not how the Seahawks beat them. Now, the Seahawks are facing a familiar team in the Carolina Panthers, who they've played 8 times over the last 7+ years. It feels like almost every year since Ross and Bobby have joined the team. They've gone 6-2 in that stretch. That includes the playoffs, and they've been 3-1 in Carolina. This is the Seahawks Fan Table Podcast, brought to you by the Hawkscast Forum. Really quickly, gentlemen, what do you guys think of that win Thursday night? It feels so long ago because it was a Thursday game and instead of a Sunday game. But what was your takeaway from that game?
It was a fun game to watch. It was a little frustrating at first, but it was entertaining and really good to get an expected win when we've obviously fallen to the jaws of defeat the last couple of weeks.
Man, I had, so the Seahawks used to be the really, really terrible team for a long time. And then even when they were good, it was kind of a characteristic of that team that I'm not sure if it was just even Matt Hasselbeck or was the whole something about the way Holmgren would prepare them. But every once in a while, like not even just like once or twice a season, they'd come out for games super, super flat and dead. You remember that?
Yep.
It wasn't rare at all. It was like you just say, oh, it's going to be that game. I get it. Like, so the beginning of the Green Bay Packer game, like I'm so conditioned by that, it's still left over in my brain that I was like, oh no, it's one of those games. Although there aren't those games under Pete Carroll. That doesn't happen, right? They almost always are within one score, even when they lose and blah, blah, blah. But the way that game started, I was like, oh, it's one of these, is it? Okay. So I was pleasantly surprised at the course of the game. It's pretty awesome.
I felt that was the closest to a vintage like Seahawks game that we've seen in a long time. Obviously, the start was really poor. They almost went down 14-0. The Packers missed a field goal, but the manner in which the Seahawks came back, the way that they played defense in the second half, that felt like prime-time vintage Seahawks. And it's kind of like, oh, we're just in control. We started slow. We're not firing on all cylinders, but after the second half, we just kind of picked it up and we just kind of marched down the field and we kind of just had our way. And Aaron Rodgers had multiple big plays, big touchdowns they scored, but it seemed like it just fizzled. Like all of a sudden he just ran out and the Seahawks were just eating him up. The defensive line and the guys rotating in, I thought they had a great game, and they made it really difficult for Rodgers, and he looked very, very average. It was surprising.
Yeah, although I've seen evidence and statistics around saying that like Aaron Rodgers has sort of lost something. Like for example, like both he and Brady, compared to they're having good statistical years this year, especially like that 17-1 ratio for Rodgers, but compared to what the rest of the league has done is sort of step up the game, they're lagging behind that even. So we'll see. Maybe Rodgers finally slowing down a tiny bit.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if
you
you
might be
guys.
focusing too much on his whining.
Yeah, so I don't want to say this is whining because I thought he handled it as well you could in the situation. So both teams going to the game, 4-5 Seattle, 4-1 Green Bay. The team that lost this game was going to be really, really struggling to try and make the playoffs. They would really need a miracle if either team had lost. In the loss, Aaron Rodgers was at the podium, and someone asked him, I forget the exact question was, but it was like, are the playoffs still a reality? And Aaron Rodgers, to his credit, was like, I thought he was going to go like the kind of Cam Newton route and just kind of be like petulant about it and just kind of be a dick. But he said, come on, man, like, we have hope. We still believe. It's not going to be easy. It's not given, but we still have hope that we can do it. And I thought that was the most positive way you could say that in the circumstances possible. So I want to give credit to Aaron Rodgers for answering that really tough question, because whenever you lose a quote-unquote must-win like game, no one wants to be asked about what do you have to play for.
I don't know, dude, because I had I guess that answer to that question was good, but did you see the other one? They asked him about that last throw to MVS that was in the dirt.
Oh, where he said he gripped it or something like that.
Right, well, he said, here's the weird thing, he doesn't use passive voice, he uses active voice. The ball stuck to my hand. The ball stuck, not like I threw it wrong or like I just didn't get a right grip on it or whatever. Like, the ball stuck to my hand. Like, you're blaming like the ball or whatever. Like, I maybe I'm reading too much into it, but even in context, it actually made it sound worse. It was just like, well, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. If that damn ball hadn't stuck to his hand, like, he was like, I make that throw 100 times out of 100. If I do that 100 times again, it would never happen again. But that ball stuck to my hand.
Yeah.
What? We're just changing physics now for this play? Is it the opposite of a kicking ball? Like, there's like certain balls out there with like sort of spider little grip things
extra
on it.
Extra tackiness.
What? I mean, the ball stuck to... Dude, you threw the ball. Why don't you say I something? I thought it was a really weird answer. I was like, Aaron Rodgers. Him and Ben Roethlisberger, man, they just do my head in.
All right, well, let's kick it off and let's talk about positive stuff. Let's talk about the Seahawks, as we are the Seahawks Fan Table podcast. Zeb, I want to know, topic number 1, what are you most thankful for?
Well, I think I don't want to get too philosophical here, but I feel like I'm thankful that the Seahawks exist and that I've been able to tie myself to for decades now. And I just the fact that I have this team to root for, this same team that I rooted for when I was, 10 years old, and the kind of the connections to the team that have also been part of my relationships with other people, a big part of my relationship with my family. We always get together for the big Seahawks games. Just the memories that have come along with being a fan of this team for all these years and having it kind of come to a culmination and peak for us a couple of years ago, and getting the Super Bowl win that you'd always hoped for, never knew whether it would actually happen or not. So I'm thankful for a lot of things Seahawks related, but just the fact that they exist and they're still in Seattle when there was times when it didn't look like that was going to be the case. So yeah, I'm thankful that they exist and I get to be a fan of them. And that's the most important thing.
Very nice. Ross, what about you? What are you thankful? What are you most thankful for? Wait a minute, I'm still thinking about Zeb's answer. I feel like this should be like some sort of like Netflix like mini series. Like, can you see like there's like it's a multi-generational family story, and like they go through their ups and downs, trials and tribulations of a family, but always sort of in the background is like a certain sports team that you can like that they always come back to, and it like ties into every story.
Yeah, dude, it's like It's like that movie with De Niro and Jennifer Lawrence with the Eagles, were kind of like their glue, the family glue.
I didn't see that.
Oh, I know what movie you're talking about. It's with Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, he has like he's like autistic or something like that, I believe.
Yeah, like I feel like this should be like something we should explore. What am I thankful for? I think in this year or in the last 2 years, I'm sort of thankful in particular that Pete Carroll is our coach. I think it's rare that there's been a coach that matches a city, matches a franchise, and adds so much both to the fan base and to the players. And when you're talking about the players, both as players but also as people. And this is going to sound really dumb. I've never, in my life, it's fair to say, I've never even thought that there was anything I could really learn as a fan from a Seahawks coach. I mean, like if I had spent time with Chuck Knox or whatever, yeah, probably. I'm sure there's a lot. But like just Pete Carroll himself is like actually has like, I've ended up sending you guys copies of his book and things. Like I've never had a coach of a team I followed inspire me in a sense and make me want to learn more about how they got to that point and their thinking style and their philosophy to their life. And I'm not much of a follower. I don't read biographies and feel inspired. And I read biographies, but I don't ever think like, oh, I want to be like Abraham Lincoln or whatever. But Pete Carroll actually kind of opened my eyes to a few things and changed how I think and changed how, has made me think I want to change how I relate to the people around me. I don't know if I've been successful yet. It's a work in progress, but at least like he's inspired me. And like I said, he just matches the city so well, matches the franchise so well, matches the fans, the players, and brings so much on almost every level. And I used to think it was kind of a 50-50 John Schneider, Pete Carroll thing. But now, actually, I don't think so. I think there's still some lots of credit to go to John Schneider. But I think it's now instead of a 50-50, I think it's a 75-25 thing. And I think it's more like John Schneider also is benefiting from Pete Carroll being around. So I feel really like it sounds stupid to say this thing he's done in my life, but I feel thankful for it.
You guys went super deep.
You were gonna say like you're thankful for like Russell Wilson having so few touchdowns or so few interceptions, right?
I was gonna say like I'm thankful they didn't wear the action green on Thursday night and went with the regular uniforms.
Well, that goes without saying, dude.
That's big, dude. Top three. That's top three for sure.
No, I think the thing is, I'm thankful. I'm gonna go a little bit shallower than both of you guys do, just to be a little different. I'm thankful that this year turned out better than I imagined. I felt that they were going to be a 9-7 team, and they still very well could be. I have high aspirations they would be, but they very well could be still a 9-7, 8-8 team this year. But the manner in which they are going to get there is so much more enjoyable, and I'm thankful that, not that the games are more enjoyable, but I'm thankful that Pete and John and Russ and Bobby and all the players, they have, I feel like, this vision that they are trying to go through, and we'll talk about it a little bit later with the coordinators here. But I'm thankful that Pete had a vision that I think not a lot of people can understand or fully respect because they just don't see the world in which he does. Ross, you had mentioned that not only just now but like previously, the mentality that Pete Carroll brings to this game is really unheard of. People say it's the rah-rah, it's a college, it's like, you can't do it with paid professionals. Yet here Pete Carroll is building up what looks to be another strong team. You listen to any of the pundits out there, and after big wins like this, all of those people talk about, say, like, everyone said that this was a 4-win team. We're more than halfway through the year, and they've already surpassed that. So I feel the national media, maybe they don't believe in this team 100% this year. They see what they're building, and I'm thankful that they have a vision that we can't maybe comprehend or fully understand in the moment, but they're doing this amazing thing, and what we're seeing, what the seeds being laid down in 2018, the ceiling for that for 2019 and beyond, it looks so big, so tall, which I'm really thankful for.
Good answer.
Yeah. Like I said, you guys went a lot deeper, so I'm trying to figure out an angle in here so I don't look like a chump.
No, you're right though. I mean, it could have been a disaster. So, I'm definitely thankful that we're at where we're at and that it's been so far the journey that it's been.
Like one thing I think about, Seattle's lost 5 games this year. Only 2 games did I come out thinking like, man, what a lost opportunity. Like, as bad as Seattle played in that Denver game, I kind of look at the 2 games that really, really like bummed me out that they lost is the Monday night game in Chicago and that Chargers game. Those are the only 2 games of the year that I felt like, oh man, I'm really, really suffering as a fan right now. I don't know if you guys had that, but 8 out of 10 games I come out like, I'm okay with how this game ended even if they didn't win, but there's only 2 games this year where I really said like, man, those games are going to like haunt me for this year. Whereas I feel like last year there was like all these games.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if those were the same games for you, but those were the ones for me. The Charger game and the Bears game.
I mean, to be honest, I haven't. Our expectations and evaluation of the team are probably slightly different this year, but like I came out of everyone just thinking, learning experience. If they had actually gone like 4-12, I'm sure like I'd be close to risk cutting right now. But keeping it close and how the games that they're losing, it's frustrating on some level, but it makes me in most cases think like, you know what, that's just where we're at. And I'm going to enjoy the process and enjoy the ride. That's where I'm at. And Chicago, man, like that Chicago loss, when we lost it, I was probably a bit more frustrated. But like in hindsight, like Chicago looks really legit. Like they went 3-0, and then they became 3-3, and they're like, oh, maybe they're not. Maybe that loss looks bad. But now they're like 7-3, and they looked good the other day. And there's no shame in losing to Chicago this year, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So I'm all right where they're at, and I'm okay with. I gotta admit, I've been spending a lot of time this week on those little playoff odd calculators. So I'm probably at the point now, if they don't get the wild card, I'm going to be a little more frustrated than I might have been. But I should keep it in perspective. Like in August we were talking. This is probably not a playoff team. This is probably I'm not going to have to spend a lot of money on airplane tickets and playoff tickets this year, and that's okay. I'm 2 years in a row I'll save a little money. It's right after Christmas, so that's cool. But now and it's a credit to the team and Pete Carroll again and to John Schneider again that here we are. It's 5-5 and we've got this calculation. I'm going, you know what? It's kind of looking possible. If they win this week, it's looking really good. So, how amazing. Pete Carroll, the coach of the year, or just give it to Bruce Arians again just for the hell of it.
Just cause, like after the fact.
Just Bruce, here, have another one.
And a Kangol hat.
Whatever. I think actually the Coach of the Year award now. I think that's just like one of those gold-plated on a stand.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
Final things that you're thankful for this year, or
gravy.
At all.
Gravy, not just turkey gravy, but also beef gravy.
Oh
yeah. That is give thanks to all gravies.
Non-partisan love for gravy.
Yeah, don't mix them though. Don't mix them. It's weird. I've done that before. When I didn't have time to make the real one, I had the instant one. I had 2 packs of turkey gravy and 1 pack of beef gravy, and I'm just like, whatever. Throw it all in there.
Yeah.
Nope.
You're playing with fire.
Not a good idea.
All right, well, let's move on. Ross, this is for you. Topic number 2. Which offensive or defensive coordinator has impressed you the most this year?
Which offensive or defensive coordinator? Well, there's only one of each. I don't know.
So which offensive or which defensive? Which of the 2, offense or defense?
Which of the 2? Oh, that's a hard one. That's a hard one because, oh man, I don't have a clear answer because expectation-wise, oh man, I guess the offensive because I didn't hate the hiring, but I was kind of like having to talk myself into it. Like I looked up Brian's background and I wasn't really overly impressed, but I was kind of like, there's the Pete Carroll effect. Pete will put him in a position to win and give him some flexibility. And Pete learned from himself, like telling him what to do. Pete's going to let him kind of let him be him. And so maybe he'll kind of rise to it. But again, there was a lot of talking about stuff into it. Ken Norton, I was higher on than you guys, and I kind of expected a lot. And he's produced, so maybe I have to go with Schottenheimer because I really wasn't really expecting much. But then objectively, Ken Norton's done a lot with very, very little. There's not. I mean, he had to he's got an all-new secondary. KJ Wright, who he thought was going to be there, suddenly wasn't going to be there. Have to manufacture a pass rush and out of nowhere. And mostly he's been successful. We're not like a top 5 defense, but we're top 10 actually before last game. So it's really hard to. But at the end of the game, I'm going to go with Schottenheimer because, man, it looked grim the first 2 games. But to his credit, he buckled down. And the rumor is Pete Carroll stepped in a little bit. But and he's righted the ship, and impressively so. So I'm going to go with Schottenheimer, but it's close.
Zeb, Ken Norton Jr., Brian Schottenheimer. Who's getting the rose?
I agree with Ross for the most part. Like, I think they've both done an as good or better job than we could have hoped going into the season, or at least compared to their predecessors. I would go with Norton, seeing the defense kind of overperform as they have, but you never really know how much that's Pete. So I'm going to go with Shotty as well. I was a long time Darrell Bevel defender, not necessarily because I thought he was anything super special, but that was who Pete chose. So until Pete decided he wasn't the guy anymore, I had his back. But the first 2 games this season, I got worried, and I thought to myself, "See, it wasn't Bevel." But then things started to come together, and seeing their commitment to running the ball and their commitment to having a smash mouth offensive line, moving the chains by running the football, that's been the most impressive thing to me so far. So I got to go with Shotty.
Good answer.
Yeah, I think it really could be a flip of the coin. I think there's definitely merit to say both. So to keep the conversation going, I'm going to say that the expectations on Ken Norton Jr. and to a degree Pete Carroll was higher in regard to the defense than the offense, because for the most part, on the offensive side, the 2 people they added on the offensive line was a retread guard who they moved from the right to the left in Jarris Weezy, and DJ Fluker, who no one thought of well at all. Everyone thought he was going to be a Luke Jokel 2.0 for all the right reasons. But that was the improvements. And obviously Chris Carson was healthy. But for the most part, that offense is pretty close to what they had last year. Whereas on the defensive side, you lose a Richard Sherman, you lose a Cam Chancellor, you lose a Cliff Averill, you lose a Michael Bennett. The only people you're bringing back who had played more than half the year was your corner, who you moved from the right to the left side. You bring back Bradley McDougall because you re-signed him, Bobby Wagner, and Frank Clark. So you have 4 people that played more than half the year as a starter, and then 7 new guys. And that does include the fact that, the defensive line rotation was such a huge question mark. I mean, I know Birdfinger was saying, he thought that the defensive line was going to be great. I doubted that possibility, but here we are, and they had a 5-pack game against Aaron Rodgers. It should have been more, but, the line judges in that game were very suspect on a lot of the Packers' biggest plays, but that's part of football. But I think Ken Norton deserves credit, because I don't know if you could expect a team to do as well as it has based upon all the marquee names that they've lost. There weren't the marquee names that they lost on the offensive side. As big of a name as Jimmy Graham is, we lost his touchdown production, but we also lost his drops, and we lost his inability to block. So that was an addition by subtraction issue. So I'm impressed by both Schottenheimer and Ken Norton Jr., but I think you definitely have to give a lot of credit to Ken Norton Jr. on what he was able to do with this defense, based upon the fact that that's what everyone thought, I think fans included, was going to be the biggest question mark going into this season. What are they going to do? How are they going to replace all these guys? You've got Trey Flowers, you got Tedrick Thompson, Barkevius Mingo, Michael Kendricks, you have Quentin Jefferson, Brandon Jackson, you have Jacob Green, you have all these guys that are rotating through, and they're making it work, and I think that's really impressive.
Totally agree.
Correct. You are absolutely correct.
And to Ross's point, I think this is kind of a toss-up. It's not an easy question to answer because this whole season, it's just kind of been this constant flux of, what needs to be done. I mean, 3 points to Aaron Rodgers and his offense in the second half. That's insane to think about.
Yeah, I mean, setting the Packers up well. And the weird thing is it wasn't until after the game I actually realized how much they had shut them. It didn't feel completely like they had shut them down the second half, but they really had. It was weird.
It was really weird, and I felt like the Seahawks, even though they started, I wouldn't say they started flat because, that turnover was that was not like a turnover that Chris Carson fumbles like all the time. That was just like we ran up the middle and someone happened to punch the ball like in that one weird spot on the football.
Right, but it wasn't just that there was like this a really badly timed 3 and out, just like, oh god.
Yeah, and it took him like half a quarter to get it set, but at that point it was only 7-3, which is crazy to think about based upon the opportunities that the Packers had.
True. I mean, there was a missed field goal in there as well. We could talk about things like that, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and that's part of the game. So.
Yeah, and then you look at what they did to close out the game. They got the Packers. They got the go-ahead score. They got the Packers to go 3 and out. They opted, instead of going for it on 4th down, to punch it away with 4:11 left, and Seattle milked the clock. They ran 4 times, burned 2+ minutes to the 2-minute warning, and took a knee. It was insane.
It was beautiful.
It was.
I love the 4-minute off.
Yeah.
When it works.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the works. This is a topic here Ross will love to dig into, and it's the Hawkscast Corner, topic number 3, and it's the playoff standings after Week 11. So the current playoff standings for the NFC, because that's the conference we play in, is the Rams are number 1 by virtue of having one more win and playing an extra game than the Saints. The Saints are number 2 at 9-1, but they do have the tiebreaker head-to-head over the Rams. In the North, it's the Chicago Bears at 7-3. Washington is the East champion at 6-4, but they just lost their quarterback. Then the wild card, our future opponent, the Carolina Panthers, who are 6-4. Then Minnesota is the second wild card, the 6th seed, at 5-4-1, who we play in 3 weeks on Monday Night Football. Then it's the Seahawks at the 7th seed, and they have the tiebreaker over the Cowboys, who are also 5-5. Then it's the Packers, due to their tie. They're a quarter game behind the Seahawks. I'm not sure what the fractionality of that is. Then you've got the Falcons, who are 4-6, and Detroit 4-6, and the Eagles at 4-6. But the biggest thing is they play a game against the Panthers and the Vikings, and those are 2 teams that they play in the next 3 weeks. And, Zeb, like, looking at this, trying to project, trying to think about what needs to happen, what do you see happening for the Seahawks? Is this a thing where they can go down the stretch and, win these key games? Do you believe they have an offense or a defense that can make that happen?
Who are we asking?
Zeb, sorry, I thought I said it. Zeb.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think we're in, considering how things have gone, I think we're in pretty great shape. The fact that we get to play the 2 teams that are directly ahead of us in the standings is a big plus. I think we can handle both of those teams. I think the fact that 4 of the last 6 are at home, right? That works in our favor. The fact that we get the Niners twice still, and the Cardinals. Not that those won't be tough games. Those teams are going to playoffs with everything they got like they always do. But just based on how the season has gone, those are all things that kind of go in our favor. And then the fact that, I think we can hang with the Chiefs? No, I don't think so. Not the way things have gone. But the fact that it's towards the end of the season, there's a good chance that they won't really have much to play for. I think that could be used to our advantage. I don't love that. That's not really what I like, the kind of football I want to watch. But it's something that works to our advantage to getting into the playoffs. So yeah, I think if we can not beat ourselves, if we can just kind of continue to play as we have, and get, it's probably going to take 5 wins. We're probably going to have to go 5-1. 4-2 might do it, but I think we have the tools, and I think we're set. We're in a good position to do the things that need to be done, and then all those teams that are ahead of us. In particular, the racist name from Washington, the Panthers, Vikings, and then the few teams behind us, those are teams that are going to beat themselves as often as we are. So I think things look pretty good for getting into the playoffs. Now, what that means once we're in there is a whole different story. But I think if I were a betting man, I think at the end of the season, we're probably 5th or 6th seed.
Ross, you've been looking ahead to the standings. You've been playing with the playoff machine. What's your prognostication?
We're really fortunate that we get 3 games against 2-8 teams in the final stretch, aren't we? Because you just can't. It's really not a good attitude, but you just can't help but think of that as 3 wins. So now you're 8-5. And then he's got, and a few weeks ago, it looked like you had to be 10-6 to get in, but now it looks like 9-7 is probably going to do it. And I agree with Zep. Our odds are looking pretty good. I don't think I'm a little bit chicken. I'm a little scared. I like the fact on paper that we get to play against both teams just ahead of us. But man, I wish there were some easier games there. If we could have played like Tampa Bay and the Giants instead of those two, and then had them play each other, that would have been even cooler, right? But it is what it is, and so we're gonna have to man up and play well, and we've got the coach to do that. We've got the players to do that. I think. Panthers, I think, were not a good matchup for them. I think what they do well, they're not going to be able to do against us. So I really like our odds. That's 3, that's 4, and then it's just 1 out. I don't think I agree that I don't think we're going to beat the Chiefs. I wish the Chiefs had won on Monday night, because then they would have had a better chance of not have to have anything to play for. The Chiefs are going to have to play us for real, I think. I think we end up at 9-7 in the 6th seed. I think we beat the Panthers. I think we lose to the Vikings. But when we get to them, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I change my mind. I think we beat them both. I think we lose to the Chiefs, though. I don't think we could do well on that track meet.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead because we do have so many games left to play. We have 6 games left in the season, and each of them are always going to be vital. I think the one thing is, when I have been looking, because like you, Ross, I definitely have been kind of playing around what needs to happen for the Seahawks to make the playoffs. They can make the playoffs at 9-7, 10-6, and 11-5. But the manner in which they do it, it all changes. Obviously, if they win their next 6 games, they're a lock for the playoffs. They'll have the tiebreaker over every other team that could potentially get 11 wins. So that's in their favor because they play 2 of the teams in front of them, and then they've already beaten 3 of the teams behind them. But the biggest thing is that the tiebreakers that they really have to have are the head-to-head, and they have to have the conference. Because if multiple teams are tied at 10-6, if Seattle beats Kansas City but loses to Minnesota or loses to Carolina, they could potentially lose if there are multiple teams at 10-6 who have all not played each other. So because of those weird tie-breaking situations where it goes away from head-to-head and it goes to conference record, that's where winning against Minnesota and winning against the Panthers has a big, big impact. You'd like to think that they're going to go 3-0 with 2 games against San Francisco and a game against the Cardinals. But we kind of had that happen, I feel like, to us last year when we were 8-4, and then we went 1-3 in our last 4 games. And I think the most impressive thing about it is we're still talking about the playoffs. You know, the Seahawks have, I believe, like a 30% chance, 38% chance of making the playoffs right now, which is a really strong number based on the fact that they started the year 0-2. I don't know if we would have been crazy to say that they would be in the playoff conversation when you start your year 0-2.
The New York Times calculator has us at a 43% chance to make it right now.
I mean, those are very solid odds, right?
Liberal media.
Liberal failing New York Times giving the Seahawks a 40+ chance of making the playoffs. What a sham.
No way. Fake news.
Now that I've read it out loud, now I don't think we're going to make the playoffs.
43%. I mean, yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, that also, if we win this Sunday, that just goes up so much. So
the difference between losing to Green Bay versus winning the Green Bay game, I think, was like almost 20%. It swung.
I mean, I think Green Bay now is a 17% chance or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because what has to happen is if there are multiple teams tied at 10 wins, because of their tie, they'll get in because that will give them a slight edge. But yeah, I mean, their road, the games they also have left are they still have a bunch of tough games left this year. You know, that's the thing. The one thing that I find encouraging for all of these teams, no one has like an easy road to the playoffs. For the like 6 teams that are still competitive in the race.
Cool.
Final thoughts of the playoffs before we buy our playoff tickets.
Let's get there. Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
So if we're number 6, we have to play the number 3 team, which is going to be who?
It's currently going to be Chicago. It'd be Chicago.
Probably Chicago. Likely Chicago.
Do we think Washington will fade? I mean, I know like they lost their quarterback, but is Colt McCoy that much of a step down, really?
He's a marginal step down. I mean, that NFC East is kind of a garbage division right now. I mean,
Cowboys are making a run all of a sudden, though. They've won like 3 in a row, haven't they?
I think they've won 2 in a row.
But all of a sudden they look right? All of a sudden, like Ezekiel Elliott's running. As soon as I traded for him in fantasy, he's all of a sudden going off.
He did it despite you.
No. As soon as I traded for him, I got him. And
Okay.
he just started going off as soon as I got him.
He's trying to help
you. I kind of thought I was overpaying for him, but now I'm like, yeah, bargain.
All right. Well,
yeah, they look like they've kind of gotten it together. I don't trust it to continue. They've looked good the last couple.
It's one of those time will tell kind of things, and that's what makes it interesting every week.
I definitely wouldn't put money on them.
Would you put money on the Seahawks?
I would be more inclined to put money on the Seahawks than I would the Cowboys.
I would hope so.
Based upon the fact of the next 6 games, Seahawks have 4 of them at home, which, you know, it's not the benefit it used to be because the team's just not as good as it has been. I would still say that bodes well for them.
Aye.
All right, well, let's cap this, and we'll go to topic number 4. As always, we talk about the upcoming opponent, and that is the Carolina Panthers. So topic number 4 here for Ross. Riverboat Ron gambled on a 2-point play and lost to the Detroit Lions of all teams. Was it the right decision to go for the win versus the tie?
Well, if you don't make it, it's the wrong decision. If you make it, it's the right decision. I always think teams should go for it a bit more, but not as much as some of the pure analytical people think. We talked a little bit about that last week, why, but people call him Riverboat Ron. He gambled for that, but I was looking at numbers saying he's actually more conservative most of the time. Anyway, that particular call, it's hard to say. I mean, there's no right or wrong. It just depends on your philosophy, and I respect his decision to go for it. But if I owned the team, I'd probably be really mad. So, it's yeah. Again, it's just one of those things in life where it's just not fair. Everybody's essentially a hypocrite. If the person takes an unreasonable risk and they make it, then they're a hero. If they take the risk and they fail, then they're goat. And there's not a lot in between, and that just seems to be the nature of reality. So you just gotta, take your dare to be great situations, and I guess that's what separates the true heroes from the rest of us. Some people just always seems to work out, right? Whether that's actually they're just better people or it's just odds, I don't know, man. It's like getting philosophy of life here. I don't know. If you don't make it, then you made the wrong decision. Like, it's the easy answer, right?
Yeah. Zeb,
Yeah.
you're a gambling man. Was it the right decision?
I know. I mean, I think Ross is exactly right. Like, if they make it, yeah, sure, absolute right decision. But I didn't watch the game. Sometimes there's context to a situation like that, so I don't really.
So
I'm not kind of sure how that game went.
Right. I mean, like, talking about context, sorry, but like, if Cam Newton is your quarterback, I guess, they say, like, you should always go for two because, always go for two because you make it 52 or 53% of the time, and obviously over time that works out to more points. But again, we've always talked about as well that football's not like baseball. But if Cam Newton is your quarterback, I bet you make your 2-point conversion something like 65% of the time because that dude can essentially just reach out, right? Like, he can do the Brady, just jump up and reach, and he's probably got it. Or he can make it to the edge. Or there's just so much of a threat. It's hard to shut down Cam Newton offense to not get 2 yards.
So did you guys hear Did you hear how the play ran down? Like, what happened?
I didn't know.
All right, so let me paint the picture, and maybe this will change the way you guys think about it. So they were down 7 points. It was 20-13. They drove down the field. Cam Newton, I believe, was 4 for 4, threw for 50+ yards, got the touchdown. They go for 2, and their kicker had missed a point after and missed a field goal.
Oh, that's right. People were saying like he had lost confidence in the kicker. That's right.
So they run a play, and it's a passing play, not like a boot or a play action or put Cam in space and maybe run it in. It was a pure passing play. He had an open receiver, and he sailed it over his head, and then they tried for the onside kick. Detroit recovered, and they ran out the clock. So that's what happened to the game. So obviously,
it's the right decision. It's just a really bad play call. Like, if Cam Newton's your quarterback, like don't force him to be something he's not. Like, or rather, play to his strengths. Use the threat. So
my whole thought process on this is, one, Ron Rivera is a 2-time Coach of the Year, so I should never question a 2-time Coach of the Year. But more realistically, it was probably the right decision, but poor execution and poor play calling is what doomed them. He sailed an open receiver. That's all that is to it. It wasn't the coach that lost the play. That was Cam Newton. The coach or the offensive play caller owned some responsibility, Norv Turner, by not taking advantage of Cam's size because the dude is such a freak athlete and he's huge. Like, he should be able to step forward and get 2 yards no problem. But I believe that was the right decision. And, obviously the outcome is what maybe dictates a lot of what people will think, what is right and what is wrong. But if it's poor execution, I have a hard time faulting the coach for it. Maybe he calls a better play and it helps him, but they had the open look and he just missed his guy, like, through no fault of anyone.
But I also want to know the thought process. Like, did he do it because he really, really thought, hey, I want to get the win here and go home? Or if it was simply because he had lost confidence in his kicker, then I started to doubt it even more because, like, that dude's not a bad kicker. But, every once in a while, everybody makes a mistake, damn it. Doesn't mean you're going to do it again. Oh, there's just so many questions.
I think that's the thing about football, where you get so few opportunities to be scrutinized like this because it does have such a huge impact on the game. It just ends up being bigger than I think what it really should be. But I do think that going for the 2-point play was the right decision for them in that moment, based upon what I've seen and what I've read.
But not do like a read option or like a dual option kind of a straight passing play.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is Cam Newton's having his best completion percentage all year. He's not going downfield a whole lot, but he's completing the short passes, and he's doing it at a really high clip.
Yep, he's like at 60. Like he's improved on his career average 10%, right? He's like at 64 or 65% right now.
Yeah, but he's not pushing the ball down the field, so it's like a huge. It's like kind of a misnomer because you're completing more of your passes, but you're getting less yards out of it. So, is it really a gain?
Well, I mean, that's the efficiency of the modern game. Yeah, back in the 70s, in my day, quarterbacks often completed like 50 or 45 or 55% of their passes, but their yards per completion was so much higher. Like Steve Largent was always called slow. His career yards per reception is 16 yards. 16.
It's ridiculous.
That's insane. I mean, by today's standards. But even then, that wasn't always leading the league at the time. Charlie Joyner was slow. He had 17. And John Jefferson, all those old guys. You were catching 15. When I was a kid looking through my football cards, if somebody didn't average at least 15 yards per reception, I was like, this guy sucks. Today, if you average 15 yards a reception, you're like some sort of world speed burner, world class burner. So the game has changed.
Yeah.
Cam Newton's now part of the modern game. He's going to throw 6-yard dinks forever. Cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good matchup for Seattle. I like that. I like that opportunity.
That's what I said earlier today. I like the matchup. If he wants to throw 3 yards downfield, if he wants to throw little screens, little wheel routes, to throw 5-yard digs, cool. Bobby Wagner's going to be all day to stop those. And even now, he's only completing 65%. So the odds you complete 2 in a row over and over and over after running on first down, only less than 40%. So you're not going to get a lot of scoring drives against Seattle because we're not going to miss a lot of tackles. So you want to play right into our hands, cool. Yeah. I think their offense does. It's just Chris McCaffrey show, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Final thoughts on Ron Rivera and the Panthers.
I'll let that nickname die, Riverboat, please. That's my thought. Just let that nickname die. He's not a gambler most of the time. He's not.
Well, he gambled this last week.
Yeah. Yeah. Riverboat Ron.
Gambled and lost.
Yeah. All right, well, that is our topics, and we got our predictions up. So, Ross, I'm going to hit you up with our predictions first. So, final score, Seahawks versus Panthers.
31-17. 31-21.
Zeb, where you at?
34-17.
I'm going to say it's a little bit of a lower scoring affair. I'm going to say 28-21 Seahawks. All right. Ross, which running back committee is going to have more rushing yards? Carson Penny-Davis versus McCaffrey and Jonathan Stewart.
Is Jonathan Stewart still on their team?
He's the second leading rusher behind Cam Newton.
Seriously? I thought he was gone this year. Oh, wow. Ours, the Seattle committee.
All right.
Yeah, Seattle.
I agree. Seattle is going to get more yards in the ground. They have been on fire, and they're doing it in such a complimentary way. Here's the tougher question for us. Which quarterback is going to have more rushing yards, Wilson or Newton?
Rushing yards. Newton. I don't think it's actually a trend. It just looks like a trend. I don't think Wilson's going to take off much this game.
Yeah, I think Cam.
Zeb, what did you say?
Cam.
Newton. Yeah, I think that Cam Newton's not going to be able to run because we're gonna have Bobby shut him down quite a bit. So, and they're going to be playing from behind, so they're not going to give him a chance to run. So I think Wilson's going to have a field day. Quick shout out! I want to talk about that boot run option play with Nick Vannett on that lead block. That was a great run play. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? The one that they converted one of the big first downs in that final drive?
Yeah, that was an amazing play call.
Fantastic.
And it's so well executed.
I would love to see more of that kind because Russell looks healthy. He looks really good on the run.
But I mean, they set that up all day. Didn't call it, and then finally, when that team, that team has to kind of sell out to stop the run, then call it.
Yeah.
God, that was just beautiful.
Yeah, and Russell being the always ready player, he slid right after the marker to keep those chains moving, clock the running. Yeah.
It was great. It was. I think I immediately typed very articulate.
All right, Ross. Are the Seahawks going to force a turnover in this game? Yes or no? It's been 3 games.
God, I hope so. 3 games in a row with no turnovers, no takeaways for 3 games now.
Yeah.
Can't win that. We can't win really if you don't. You got it. You got to. I think we'll get 2. 1 fumble, 1 pick. But oh man, we need to get 1.
Zeb?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think we get 2 of them.
I think we're going to get 2 as well, but they're all going to be fumbles. I think Cam's gonna get a little sloppy, and Frank Clark's gonna strip him. Yes or no, Ross? Cam Newton with the Gatorade towel of shame over his head.
Is it? I want to say yes because it's going to be a situation he'll need to do it, but I sense that he's matured a tiny bit and isn't quite as bad with his body language anymore. I could be wrong. I feel like no, but I hope so.
Zeb?
I fully expect to see it.
Yes, 100% towel of shame is coming out.
Wait, I know we're short on time, but that makes me have like a follow-up question to Zeb, because Zeb, you're like a Cam Newton guy, right? You like him. Like, I don't like the dude, but you like him.
Yeah, I think that he I think his fans love him, and I think that
They do.
That he does things to make his fans happy, and to make people that don't like him hate him even more. I think that's his game.
Yeah, I guess I'm just a hater. And like the final straw was like in the Super Bowl where he just doesn't go for the fumble. Like he makes a decision in the Super Bowl.
What
are you doing?
He had a bad angle, man.
The ball stuck to his hand.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know, man. Like if I was like a hardcore player and he was on my team after that play, I'd have a hard time welcoming him back into the middle.
Yeah.
Like, where's Chris Henke or whatever that dude's name was?
Chris Winkie? Oh man, that guy's like 50 now. All right, Ross, you're gonna love this one. Superman Flex or the dab?
Oh God, why do you do this to me?
Because I'm torturing you.
All these questions that make me feel like the old man, like just constantly screaming, "Get off my lawn!" Jeez, does he still do both those? God, really one more quick aside. Sorry, like when you watch NFL football in Japan, you have to watch on the NFL's like Game Pass, and they don't always show the commercials. They sometimes I don't know how it works out, but some commercials they don't show the real commercials, and they show like mini like kind of NFL little mini cuts, and while commercials are playing for you guys, and one of them was like a cameraman and a reporter following Cam Newton around on the sideline during a game, and like he posed real quick for a photo with one of his teammates, and then after did it realized he had forgotten to dab, and then like screamed out, "Ah, dab!" And then they retook the picture so they could dab or whatever. Like, fuck, dude.
So dab?
Just dumb. I don't know. Combine the two. Superman Flex. No, the dab. Oh, I don't know. Maybe one of each.
Is this which one we like better, or what we think we're going to see this week?
Which one do you like better?
I hate
I
him
like
both.
dab better. Does he do the dab anymore? It feels like that's old now.
Isn't Superman Flex old? No.
Well, not like culturally.
Oh.
Like that's kind of timeless. The dab was like a fad, you know, like a dance that was popular a couple years ago.
Oh, like what was that one? The water sprinkler. I liked that.
The sprinkler.
That's super old. We're going back. That's way back.
You know what? I stopped after the chop. I don't know. Yeah, the icky shuffle.
I'm going to say the Superman Flex because when a defender like a Seahawks player does it, you know who they're taunting. So if it's a dab, that's not Cam Newton's thing. But the Superman Flex, when that's the one I like. If he's going to do it, do that early in the game because he likes to do it, like on his first downs. But I want Bobby Wagner to sack him on a big play, maybe strip the ball, and Bobby Wagner just busts out the Superman flex. So that's my pick. All right.
Why is the dab called the dab?
Nobody knows.
It's lost in cultural history. All right, a couple more predictions. Ross, over under Seahawks rushing yards, 160 against the Panthers.
160. You mean the first half? Over.
Over. Easily over 160.
230, 240.
This is for both kickers. Over under missed field goals, 1.5.
Over.
Under.
I'm going to say under. If anyone's going to miss a field goal, it's going to be on the Panthers.
You realize I'm cheating. I live in the future. I'm telling you, it's over.
It's not fair.
All right, this one's mostly going to be for Pete, but it applies to everyone. Both coaches. Over under challenge frags thrown, 1/2. So a half flag thrown.
I don't know who the officiating crew is. I think they both kind of like their flags and over 2.
Over, yeah, probably 2-3.
I'm going to say under. I don't know who this crew is, but unless David Moore is going to catch another one of those, like, I caught it, but I fumble it, and you got to overturn it to prove it, I'm going to say they are not going to get any flags thrown. But we'll see.
I feel like Carolina Seahawks games tend to be kind of contentious and things, so.
Yeah.
I don't like Carolina. I don't like the franchise very much. I don't even exactly know why. I really don't like them.
It's because their old owner has a statue of him surrounded by 2 panthers in the front of their stadium.
I've always disliked them. I don't know why. I've rarely liked even a player from their team. I like Steve Smith.
Everyone should like Steve Smith.
I think Kuechly, that walking concussion dude. Like, I don't like him.
He's a douche.
I don't like that dude. I don't like Cam Newton, sorry. I didn't like their overrated fullback. I don't like David Funchess, and I hate his name. It sounds like a fruit or a vegetable. I don't like that dude. It sounds like somebody I should find in the POTUS section. I don't like any of them. I don't like Greg Olson.
Nope.
No. Like, there's not much likable on that team. There never has been.
I don't like Christian McCaffrey.
I don't know. He's all right. He's okay. I feel he is. He's like he is the new Great White. Not who was that other guy that they brought in? That was the white dude
from Stanford. The kid from Stanford.
Maybe. Oh, wait, isn't McCaffrey from Stanford?
McCaffrey is from Stanford, but there was another running back before him that
there was a
drafted.
white dude who played, I think, maybe for Detroit, and he went somewhere else to be like their lead back, and it just went horrible. Maybe he went to no, not that long ago. That was the other one. He was like Peyton Hill. Peyton Hill is 2.0, just like 2 years ago. I think he went to the Jaguars.
You lost me.
I can't remember. I'm gonna look it up when you can wrap things up.
All right, well, with that is the Carolina Panthers episode on the Seahawks Fan Table podcast. While Ross is researching, Zeb, shout-outs.
Shout out to Matt Sanchez, who is clearly the best available free agent quarterback.
You mean Mark Sanchez?
Yeah.
What did he say?
I think he said Matt. Did you say Matt or Mark?
I think I was confusing him with Matt Barkley.
Mark. Definitely Mark Sanchez. If I said Matt, that was just a brain fart.
Yeah.
I know a Matt Sanchez, so I guess that makes sense. Why I would...
Ross,
shout out to him too. Shout out to Mark and Matt Sanchez.
Ross, any shout outs to follow up from Zeb's?
Shout out to the domesticator of the turkey.
George
that's
Washington.
about it.
That was George Washington.
No, it wasn't.
Good Carver, George Washington.
Oh, George. Zenner, is that it? Oh. Wait, did Zeno get a contract somewhere? I don't know. No, that's not. I can't find it.
If Ross finds it, he'll put it on Twitter for all of us to share.
I will.
Any other shout outs, Ross?
Oh, shout outs. Shout out to my friend Zach, who I met at Dodgeball and plays fantasy footballs, and he's hosting a traditional Thanksgiving dinner tonight, so we can all have it, and I'll be heading down there soon.
All right. Shout out to Zach. Shout out to Zeb and Ross for always joining us. I am thankful for you guys. Shout out to Birdfinger. Probably couldn't make it tonight, but always we love the love. And check us out on Facebook at Seahawks Fan Table. We're on Twitter at Seahawks Podcast and Seahawks Forum. Check us out at thehawkscast.com. We are the Seahawks Fan Table Podcast. Thank you very much for checking us out.
Toby Gerhardt.
I'm Sam. They are Ross and Zeb and Toby Gerhardt, wherever you are. Shout out to you. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.